Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I want to talk about some of the cool and weird and interesting and spooky places that I've been to here in Alabama. I know when you think about Alabama you don't typically think of there being anything interesting to do for a goth, but I promise it's not all just like conservative rednecks and football. There's a few interesting things to do if you know where to look, and if you dig a little deeper you can find some pretty cool stuff. And so I'll tell you about some of the cool things that I've done here in Alabama. The first thing I want to talk about is Birmingham Oddities in Birmingham. Obviously, sadly, it doesn't exist anymore, but the owners opened up a new shop, and I'll tell you about both of those. But the original shop, Birmingham Oddities, was an oddities shop, and they had all kinds of really cool stuff there. They had taxidermy and bones, including like human bones, which I know can be very controversial. I'm not gonna tell you how to think about that, but apparently most of theirs were like antiques from the Victorian era. But you know, I know not everybody thinks that it's okay to own human remains, so I'll let you, decide what you want to about that. Personally, I think if they're ethically acquired, I don't have a problem with it, but I know that there's a lot of unethical things going on in the oddities community regarding the sale of like human remains, so I'm not going to full-on endorse that type of thing. But they had other stuff too. They had like anatomical models that were really cool, and all sorts of art by like local artists and stuff. And their new shop, opened by the same people as Birmingham Oddities, is still located in Birmingham. I haven't been to it. It's called Wantful Things, and this shop, it has like tattooing as well, and it still has a few like oddities and stuff, but it's not as focused on that. They call it tattoos and punk rock / alternative thrift shop, and they have all sorts of like vintage things, and they have clothes and still some oddities, and they have CDs and movies and all sorts of interesting things based on what I've seen online. I haven't been to it yet, but I still think it would be worth checking out. And they also host a punk rock garage sale regularly, which I haven't been to either, but I know they hosted it as Birmingham Oddities, and they do as Wantful Things as well. And there you can get all sorts of things, again, from like local vendors and different people in the community, and they have like live music and stuff. So that sounds like a lot of fun. I haven't been to it, but I'd like to go at some point before I get out of Alabama. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but it's kind of difficult for me to get to Birmingham because that's quite a far way away, and I don't have a car, so I have to rely on somebody else to get me there. So we'll see if I get to go there or not. But the first time, and only time unfortunately, that I went to Birmingham Oddities when it was still open, the only thing I was able to get was an art print, which was really cute. But I wish I had gone there with more money so I could have bought some of the cool like bones and taxidermy and stuff. So hopefully I'll get an opportunity to go again. The second place that I want to talk about is also located in Birmingham. It is a restaurant, actually, a Cajun restaurant with sort of like a horror theme, sort of like Mardi Gras and monsters at the same time. But it's called Rougerou, and I didn't actually get to eat there. I went there with my ex and their friends, and we got just some cocktails because we had already eaten. My partner's friends, they hadn't eaten yet and they invited us even though we had already eaten. We just decided to go anyways and just get some cocktails while they ate. So I don't know what their food is like, but it looked pretty good and they seemed to really like it. But I enjoyed my cocktails. I had a Moscow Mule that was really good, and I really enjoyed the atmosphere. I'd like to go back again if I can get another chance to go to Birmingham, because I'd like to really try their food. The next place that I went to is actually a grave. Now, I've been to all sorts of cemeteries here in Alabama. I always love to visit a cemetery, but this particular cemetery is really interesting. It's in Lanett, Alabama, and it is a dollhouse grave, the dollhouse grave of Nadine Earls. Now, this was a 5-year-old girl who really wanted to have a dollhouse for Christmas, but sadly she passed away before Christmas. She passed away 1 week before, so her family decided to use the dollhouse as her gravestone instead, and I visited it, and it was very sad, but I think very beautiful tribute to that poor little girl. And different people leave like little dolls and stuff there, and I left this little porcelain china doll with like a little crown, and it was a really beautiful cemetery and just a really beautiful and interesting grave. You can't like go inside the little dollhouse, but you can look into the windows and see like the dolls that they have in there for her. And the next place that I want to talk about is a little roadside attraction in a tiny little town called Seal, Alabama, that has like barely anything there, but they have this weird sort of drive-through museum thing called the Museum of Wonder, and you can drive through it like I said, but you can also get out and walk around to get a closer look, which is what I did. And they have all sorts of oddities and taxidermy and weird art and stuff like that. It's not a place that even has any employees. Like, it's completely free to go there, and there's nothing to buy. It's just a bunch of weird, interesting stuff on display in like these trailers, like storage trailer things, and it's all behind glass, and you can look at all sorts of interesting things, from like a mammoth jawbone to this weird art piece of supposed to be the scene from Revelations, and it was done a long time ago, I forget when, but it was like a touring attraction thing, and now they have it there, and there's all sorts of like weird, interesting things. And the last place that I want to talk about is the area of Roxana. It's this unincorporated area that is somewhat near where I live, and it's the host to a lot of pagan festivals and stuff that I have been to. And I'm not personally pagan myself, but I did sort of dabble in that for a while, sort of looked into it, decided that it wasn't really for me, but I made a lot of friends in the pagan community, and there's a lot of pagan people that I like, and I like to go to their events and stuff still. And they have moon dance and fall fling and maybe some other stuff too from time to time, but they're all held in Roxana, which is a beautiful and strange place that's out in the middle of the woods. It's kind of secluded, and they've got like all these strange like uh, rock formations and stuff, and it's a very unique place. It feels like a sacred and spiritual place. Even for me, someone who isn't really spiritual, I can really see why it's chosen for so many pagan events and stuff. When the pagan events are there, there's all sorts of like vendors, and there's live music, usually like folky music type of stuff. Not really goth music. It's not so much a gothy witch scene so much as it's more of a hippie witch scene around here, but there is a pretty strong pagan community, and they come from all over to go to this festival, and there's all sorts of little like workshops and rituals and stuff that go on at these things, and it's really interesting. And like, it's clothing optional, so you're gonna see a lot of like naked hippies dancing around the fire with like drum circles going on. So I wouldn't recommend it if you're someone who's like not comfortable around being a lot of naked people, but if you are, I think it's a really fun time, and I really enjoyed myself even as a non-pagan. I think as long as you're open-minded and respectful of other people's beliefs, I think it's a lot of fun. And during the non-festival part of the year, you can still go to Roxana and like camp there. I'm not personally a big camping person. My ex was, and so we would camp there sometimes, but it's still a nice sort of out of the way place, and it's really beautiful and really interesting whether there's a festival going on or not. So those are the places that I wanted to talk about today. I hope you thought it was at least somewhat interesting, and maybe if you're ever in Alabama, you'll want to check these places out and see that, you know, there's a little more in Alabama than what you might expect on the surface. If you look a little deeper, you know, there's kind of something for everybody. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and now I'll just show off today's outfit and then we're done.